Let's not bury the lead. From the New York Post, Irredeemable. Batgirl movie gets shelved by Warner Brothers despite $70 million price tag. Well, that's a first. I can't think of the last time I heard of a studio shelving a completed film, especially not one that cost nearly $100 million. Whoever could have seen this coming? No one. No one at all could have predicted this would happen. And yes, I know you're looking at a picture that pretty much tells you the movie's probably doomed, but no one, I tell you, no one could have seen this coming. According to the article, quote, the DC Comics film Batgirl will be completely shelved by Warner Brothers, a top Hollywood source told the Post. That means it won't hit theaters or the streaming service HBO Max. Fans will not see it. The reportedly $70 million movie, the source said the budget was actually more than $100 million, which was doing test screenings for audiences in anticipation of a late 22 debut, would rank among the most expensive cinematic cast-offs ever. Those tests were said to be so poorly received by moviegoers that the studio decided to cut its losses and run for the sake of the brand's future. It's a DC disaster. Damn! You know this movie is bad when Warner Brothers 6 is gonna damage its already piss-poor brand. They did already jacked up their cinematic universe, so how worse could it get? Well, according to the source, quote, they think an unspeakable Batgirl is going to be irredeemable, the source said. All you can do is laugh, because this was so clearly a mistake in the first place. The DC Comics extended universe has been a mess since Batman vs. Superman. You know, the second film. Warner Brothers has been trying to course correct really since Man of Steel, since Superman's moody emo boy Zod killing routine didn't go over well with the fans, and they just foobarred the entire line. Introducing Batgirl while still trying to figure out who's going to be the new Batman, while having Michael Keaton show up as his Batman from an alternate universe, and probably still using Ben Affleck, coupled with an unnecessary race swap Barbara Gordon, never seemed like a good idea. People want to see a connected DC universe, not just because of the MCU's success, but because people like these characters and want to see them on screen together. These side projects can be great, like Joker and the Batman, but building a larger universe is where the money is at, especially now that people are tiring of MCU's one-liner humor and cookie-cutter plots. That there's been very little news about this film was already a bad sign. It was made worse when WB never mentioned the film at the San Diego Comic-Con in July. Disney was tripping over movies. Meanwhile, WB said nothing about a beloved character's upcoming film. The Post mentions that Batgirl was set for an HBO Max release, but the studio started contemplating a theatrical release. This is why the budget increased. You have to wonder what happened in the movie to make it test so badly that they don't even want to stream it, because they're streaming Steel. If it's worse than Steel, oh my god. The Post says the current CEO David Zaslav is the one who pulled the plug. He's the guy who canned the $300 million CNN Plus service days after it started because it didn't get enough subs. That's lots of money wasted for things that obviously weren't going to go over that well. Warner Brothers has been desperate for their own Kevin Feige for a decade. They tried to get Christopher Nolan to do it, but he refused. Jeff Johns was supposed to do this, but that seems to have turned into a mess. It also appears that the studio itself isn't helping because of all the changes they force into the films, especially those coming from Walter Hamada, the president of film production. WB wants cohesion, but can't seem to find anyone who can bring it, or maybe they're not willing to hand it over when they do find someone with a workable vision. Either way, this results in way more box office variance compared to the financially stable MCU. And this goes back to the original idea of having a Batgirl film without ever really exploring Batman in the DCEU, all while trying to distance from the Snyder films, but still using people like J.K. Simmons as Gordon, but then adding in a multiverse angle with Keaton. It sounds like a mess, and it seems like that proved to be true with the test audiences. Maybe it's time for Warner Brothers to sit down and figure out what they want the overarching DCEU to be before moving too far ahead. They've got some potential with Black Adam. The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker show tied in well enough. They're probably going to erase a fair chunk of the Snyderverse with the Flash film, although that movie might now be up for grabs with all the antics Ezra Miller's gotten into. None of this has worked out well for Warner Brothers, and it's weird that it's gone this badly for them because they have the more recognizable characters. They had less work to do to win over audiences, yet they failed. Maybe they should have looked at the animated series for inspiration and brought in Paul Dini and Bruce Timm to manage the films, since these guys nailed the DC universe in their animated shows. I've never seen a company have everything they need to succeed in their hands and fail this badly. And I watched Disney obliterate Star Wars in less than 4 years. But where Disney put effort into deliberately pissing off every group of fans that they could, Warner Brothers tanked their line while trying to copy the MCU by not actually copying them. It's like a band trying to sound like another band by not using any of the same instruments, chord progressions, stylings, lyrics, or even the way they dress, and then, for no discernible reason, ignoring every instance where they actually get over doing their own thing. And it makes you wonder how it was that if Batgirl was so bad, no one caught this until the screenings. If it's so bad that it gets shelved when it's done, surely someone would have realized this while they were filming. That it got to the point of test audiences without anyone catching this irredeemable nightmare is just sad, but then again, it is Warner Brothers. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.